Good morrow, scholars. Welcome back to the Asylum. Well, Asylum. The Asylum, I think, is a movie production company that makes really bad horror movies. No, not horror movies. Cheap knockoffs of popular movies. Anyway, I'm getting off topic already. Okay, I think I know what this month's or this year's October horror movie marathon, I suppose, theme is going to be. I'm thinking sequels. So I'd be watching like Halloween 2, I guess. Anything after Evil Dead 2? Perhaps Halloween 2, the remake? And that's all I got. I don't know. It's an idea. Anyway, we are on chapter 7, page 60. Dang it. It was wrong. All wrong. Dan was in the wrong place. There must have been some mistake. He didn't deserve to be here. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't. So why was he chained to the wall? He struggled until there was blood on his wrists from where the shackles held him. Help! He screamed, but his voice came out in a whisper. The room changed. Now Dan was lying on the table in a robe. A key clicked in the door, and a waiter wearing glasses and a white serving uniform came in, rolling a tray in front of him. There was a big silver dome on the tray, and Dan could hear something under it tinkling and rattling like silverware. Your dinner, sir, the waiter said, removing the dome. Underneath were surgical instruments, a scalpel, a clamp, and a hypodermic needle. Dan looked up, and the waiter's face had changed. Now he was wearing a white doctor's coat and a surgical mask. Worst of all, where his eyes had been, there were only black sockets, as if his eyes had been scratched out. As he reached for the instruments, the doctor said in a gentle voice, "Don't worry, Daniel Crawford. I'm here to take care of you." Ugh. Dan startled awake. Sweat was pouring down his face, and he grabbed the sheet so tightly that his fingers were cramping. "I have that problem too." He was still muttering, "No, don't hurt me." Heart pounding, he sat up. His eyes adjusted to the darkness slowly. He was in his room. There was no waiter, no doctor. There was only Felix, stock still, standing beside the bed, watching him. Ugh. Standing beside the bed. Why would somebody do that? Huh? He sank down into the pillows again and yanked the sheet up to his chin. What are you doing?" "You were speaking in your sleep, Daniel." "Blah, blah, blah." Felix replied calmly. He took a tiny step away from the bed. "Are you feeling all right?" The noise was... Well, it woke me, as you can see. "Sorry," Dan muttered. "Just a nightmare. I'm fine, really. But I'd better... I'd be better if you backed the heck away. I need some air," he added, rolling out of bed. The sheets were damp with sweat. "That should help," Felix said with a sad smile. "Fresh air always clears my thoughts. I hope it does the same for you." "Well, that's nice. Dan grabbed his hoodie and raced out the door, wondering if he was fleeing his roommate, the room, or both. He tried to slow down his breathing. It was just a dream. That's all it was. He wiped sweat from the bridge of his nose with one knuckle. "Now I gotta do it." The photographs had clearly disturbed him more than he realized. For the second night in a row, sleep was a lost cause. The hallway was dimly lit and quiet. No one was there, but Dan shivered. What was it about this place that made him feel like he was being watched? It felt good to get downstairs, but when he got to the entrance hall, the main door was already propped open. Someone had gone out before him and was now sitting on the steps. "Funny meeting you here," he said. Abby yelped in surprise. Dan had only just managed to dodge the pebble she picked up and chucked in his direction. "Dan? Ugh. You scared me half to death. Oh, before I forget." Picture. "What do you think it means?" "Other than, what it means." Rosa. You scared me half to death. It probably didn't help that his bad dream and sudden waking had left his voice hoarse. Sorry, he said, sitting down next to her. I didn't mean to make you jump. Abby sat with her knees drawn up and her phone in one hand, her arms wrapped around her shins tight. At you? I don't know. Little fat clouds with smiles decorated her pajama pants. You're up late, she said. Her voice sounded ragged, too. Couldn't sleep. You? Abby looked at him as if weighing how to respond. Finally, she said, I got a text from my sister. Well, several texts. Things at home are... They could be better. She paused. Dan might not have been a social wizard, but he knew that asking questions was not the right thing to do just now. So he waited for Abby to go on. My parents don't see eye to eye on much. Pops does corporate jingles and he hates it, but the money's good. Mom thinks he should go back to making real music. His music, but it doesn't pay. No easy answers there. They go back and forth, and every time I get so freaked out thinking that they'll... Anyway, Jessie thinks it's for real this time. She thinks they'll really do it. Abby sighed. What, divorce? Sensitive Dan. Real sensitive. Yeah. She sighed again, and this time he heard a catch in her breath. He had no idea what to do if she started crying, and he hoped, heck, it wouldn't come to that because he wouldn't know the right way to handle it. It would kill my sister. Sometimes I think it would kill me too. That really sucks. I'm sorry. He was loving this. Especially. Or epically, sorry. Not that it was an appropriate time to be acting all smooth and seductive or whatever, but surely something deeper was required here. I wish they could just keep it together for a few more years until Jessie and I are both in college. Ben said, and what he hoped came off as sympathetic silence. Maybe I just fed you. Be happy. I swear. So, what about you? She asked, tilting her head. Me? What about me? What? Or what about me? Why couldn't you sleep? Oh. Dan could feel that familiar instinct to shut down coming on. I am no stranger to this. And he didn't want to darken the mood even more with a detailed retelling of his dreams. Still, Abby had shared something private with him, and her eyes looked so big and sad. A fair trade seemed only right. I had a nightmare. Like falling or drowning? Sort of? No, not really, but he decided he couldn't tell her about the dream after all. Not that dream, and not the ones he usually had either. She would think he was too strange, and her opinion mattered to him a lot. So all he said was, it was just the kind you feel so powerless. Yeah, I know the feeling. That's how it is with my parents too. Nothing I can do, and it totally blows. She took a breath and then said, you know, weird as it sounds, I feel kind of better now. I don't usually talk about this stuff. What about Jordan? I thought you two were tight. No, I mean, yes, well, sure, but I'm more his confidant. This situation is so messed up. I don't want to burden him with my problems too much. It doesn't seem right, piling more on top of him. They sat in a companionable silence. The grass at the foot of the trees was tall, and pale tendrils of mist wove through the overgrown tufts before fanning out across the lawn. The darkness was lifting slowly as dawn came. You're a good listener, Dan. You've got this whole wise vibe going on. Thank you, Dan said. Wait, this isn't that Buddha stuff again, is it? Because that seriously did not feel like a compliment. Abby laughed, and for a second Dan really did feel like he had hopes. Jordan definitely could have phrased that better, but I think he was onto something. Still smiling, she scooted closer to him on the stoop. I'm having flashbacks to Hey Arnold. The feathers in her hair were gone, leaving a mass of black curls falling unevenly over one shoulder. For a moment, he thought she was about to kiss him, and he knew then that he would ask her out on a date. What? This is not going to end well. So, she said, you want to know my trick for getting to sleep? Go for it. So I close my eyes, right? I mean, that's a given. But I close my eyes and relax, and I pretend I'm a tree. Dan snorted, shrugging away when Abby smacked him on his shoulder. A tree? Shut up, it works. Uh-huh, sure it does. Fine, smarty pants, I'm not going to tell you my secret then. Abby crossed her arms and made a poof sound. No, please, continue. Come on, I want to know more about being a tree. That actually does kind of sound funny, but I see what she's going for. Laughter bubbled up through his words, no matter how hard he tried to clamp it down. I'm not telling you now. Abby, please. Oh, okay, but only because I like you. Dan missed part of her next sentence because she had said that she liked him. You picture your individual roots, picture them moving down through the soil, going deeper and deeper, focusing on each one after another, down, cool and safe and surrounded. Just listening to her describe it was relaxing. Then she reached over and gently pressed her thumbs to his temples. Every root moving through the earth, shifting the dirt, getting stronger. He stretched, enjoying the feeling that he could fall asleep. Huh, see, I told you it works. Not bad. Branches. What? What? I don't know. I missed something. We should probably get back inside. Oh, okay. Now it connects. Gotcha. Let's see. She said, getting slowly back to her feet and stretching. And don't call me branches. Acorn? Not funny. Whatever you say, branches. He covered a yawn. I'm serious. You call me branches and I'll call you Buddha. Alright, fine. Truce there. Dan followed her inside and closed the door behind them. It automatically locked. They walked to Abby's floor. Well, night, Dan said, walking on his heels. Night. And remember, Abby closed her eyes and struck a pose. Be the tree. I'll try, Dan said, watching her back as she headed off to her room. And alone in his room, Dan did try, but when he closed his eyes, the tree became a vine, and the vine became a shackle, and then it was the same nightmare all over again. That's sad. Alright, let's see, what time is it right now? Okay. So, 10 pages. That one was 8, 7? About 6. 6 or 7. And it took about 13 minutes. So, let's see. Man. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and have a... No, never mind. I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. Sorry about that. I just wasn't sure if I should or not, because I wanted to have some time to watch a horror movie before work. The next morning, Dan hardly said 2 words to his friends. They wouldn't have passed together until later in the afternoon, and his restless night meant his alarm had gone to snooze half a dozen times. Breakfast consisted of wolfing down Cheerios and orange juice too fast, and watching Abby put cold spoons on her eyelids. I've done that too. She insisted it would help her wake up and get rid of her sleepless puffiness. No time to myth-bust that. Instead, Dan ran, horse list in hand, to his first class, thinking that history of psychiatry would get him off to a good start. When he got there, he saw Jordan's roommate, Yee, and was glad for the friendly face in a room full of strangers. Ignoring the familiar voice that told him it'd be easier to sit alone, Dan went over to Yee and introduced himself. How's it going? He said to Yee as he said that. Yee shrugged. Jordan won't stop texting people when we're supposed to be sleeping. I could hear his little click-clack. He fingers going until like 4 in the morning. He does love that phone. Otherwise, I'm glad to have the chance to do something outside of playing the dang cello. I love music and all, but I'm open to another calling. Maybe I'll find it in this class. If nothing else, I'll learn something new, right? With that, we might get to hear some cool stuff about our loony bit of a dorm. Professor Reyes arrived promptly and began handing out the syllabi. She was dressed all in black again, this time with a quartz necklace. Her appearance reminded Dan slightly of the fortune tellers from late-night infomercials. Professor Trelawney. He liked Professor Reyes right away, particularly after a student raised his hand and she responded with a gentle, "No, we will not be discussing Brookline Sanatorium, but thank you for asking. If you'd like to do your own study on the subject for extra credit, that will be fine." The hand went down immediately. The 2 hours went by, or flew by, and the few times Dan's mind did wander, it was to consider what Abby and Jordan might be up to in the drawing class. He sort of hoped Abby was keeping their late-night chat to herself. It's not that he cared if Jordan knew about his nightmares or Abby's parental problems. He simply liked the idea of that conversation remaining something they alone shared. I'm struggling so much. Maybe I shouldn't have read the next one. Anyway. No harsh, loud bell rang to signal the end of class. Instead, the college's chapel chime sounded once at a quarter to the hour, and that was the professor's signal to wrap things up. It was a refreshing change. Dan packed his folders away. Buying the textbooks for the classes was not mandatory, and most of the material came in the form of printed-off packets, slideshows, and documentaries. Right on Yee's heels, Dan was quick out the door. Then he remembered that this wasn't high school, and he wasn't going to get in trouble if he was late for lunch. The college had provided everyone with a map, but consulting it made him feel like such a tourist. Outside, the weather had shifted from slight dewiness in the morning to the full heat in the summer afternoon. Professor Reyes was already out in the courtyard, taking a smoke break. Uh-oh. He remembered what she had said about possible extra credit, about a possible extra credit project, and approached. Professor Reyes smiled at him, finishing her cigarette and flicking it to a nearby metal bucket for stubs. "I don't like smokers. I think she's going to be up to something." "Darren, right?" she asked. "Dan," he corrected, sticking his hands into his pockets. "Daniel Crawford." She stared at him for a long moment, then said, "Ah, got it. I won't forget. I was wondering about that extra credit project." "Oh, Dan, I was kidding. You know there are no grades here, right?" The professor laughed softly. "So are you looking for a recommendation, or just sucking up?" "Well, Dan didn't quite know what to say, embarrassed that she was already thinking badly of him. "This is just sort of my main interest. Psychiatry and history, I mean. So the extra credit sounded cool. I was thinking I might try to do some interviews around town, get a local perspective." "Good luck with that." Professor Reyes adjusted the briefcase slung over her shoulder. "I'm sorry?" "The townsfolk are, shall we say, superstitious, and that's putting it mildly. They've been petitioning to get Brookline level for years, but they can't. 1, because it's a historical site and deserves to stay put. 2, because there's no reason to tear it down. The foundation is sketchy, sure, but the college is paying to have it redone soon enough." She rummaged in her briefcase until she found, oh no. Until she found her cigarette pack. She lit one, gesturing with it. "So you might come up against some, resistance. They'll talk about Brookline, sure. They'll talk your ear off about it, but only about how much they want it gone." "That's too bad," Dan said, meaning it. "I thought it might make a good paper." "It would. And you should try for it." Professor Reyes leaned closer, giving a conspiratorial grin. "Actually, I've gotten permission to do a senior seminar in the old closed-off parts of the dorm. We'll be archiving some of the stuff in there and finally getting it off the school's hands at the same time. Any chance you're coming here next year?" I wish, Dan said. I'm just starting my senior year of high school. Truthfully, Dan hadn't really considered coming to college here. But if he liked all his classes this summer, why not? Hey, maybe if my interviews go well, you can use the paper for your seminar. Sure, she said. We'll see. Dan left, giving her a tiny wave as he went. He wasn't sure if the idea of digging deeper into Brookline's history made him excited or afraid, but having it as a kind of class assignment, even an unofficial extra fake credit assignment, at least gave it some. I don't know if I said that right. Why is it so dark in here? Anyway, I need to get more light bulbs. Now he could tell Jordan and Abby about what he learned without sounding all psycho. And speaking of Jordan and Abby, they were probably waiting for him at lunch now. He remembered the moment last night when he thought Abby was about to kiss him. Would she remember it the same way? Was she still thinking about him too? I'm going to say no, but probably. It took Dan 4 days to get up the courage to ask Abby out on a date. What? What? Oh no. To be fair, it was an amazing 4 days in which he, Abby, and Jordan basically became inseparable. They ate together, sat next to one another in class, and hung out at night. Of course, this made Dan even more anxious about asking Abby out. His mind went around and around in circles. Should he ask her out? What if she said no? Could they still be friends? How would Jordan feel about it? What would it do to the three of them? What if she said yes? What if... He was so broody that even Felix noticed something was going on. You seem distracted, Daniel, Felix said one day after lunch when Dan came into the room, flopped down onto his bed and sighed loudly. Want to talk it over? Dan wondered about the wisdom of asking Felix for dating advice, although Felix did seem to be relaxing into the program too. He still studied alone in their room all the time, spoke like a science teacher, and required ludicrously small amounts of sleep. But his manga magazines had disappeared, and he seemed to enjoy doing his own thing. Well, Dan said, I'm thinking of asking Abby out. What do you think my chances are? Ah, yes. I can see why you're so nervous. You can? Dan waited, although he wasn't sure he wanted Felix to elaborate. You are facially symmetrical, but suffer from slightly protruding ears. You're not exactly tall, and you lack a muscular definition. Well, Abby is, on the other hand. Yeah? Dan said, cutting off. She's cute as a button? Felix paused and gave a quick shrug. I'd say she is, in the popular vernacular, out of your league. I thought so, thanks, Dan muttered. He really shouldn't feel put out, considering the source of this judgment, but still, it's dumb. You get used to it. But only by a very narrow margin. Felix beamed from his desk chair. Does that answer your question? Yes, he said. You've been a big help, thank you. Dan gathered up his afternoon notebooks and headed out the door. That phrase, out of your league, like Dan, all the way across the campus. Felix was right in a way. Dan had never met anyone like Abby before. Someone who lit up his world a little whenever she happened into it. The first of the chapel bells, I keep wanting to say chapel, started ringing, signaling 1:45 and the start of his next class. Late. How had that happened? It had been a little after 1 when he left the dorm. Huh. Uh-oh. Dan sprinted as best he could the rest of the way, arriving outside the social science building, puffing and sweating. On the last time he tumbled into the corridor, Jordan and Abby were waiting by the classroom door. There you are, Abby called. We thought you weren't coming. Just running late, roommate stuff. Sure, we all know you're going for a dramatic entrance, Jordan teased, nudging him lightly. Dan filed in after his friends and shuffled into a seat under the stern gaze of their professor, a tall, middle-aged man with a short goatee and salt and pepper hair. Uh-oh. Well, if it isn't the Hydra, Professor Douglas said, pulling his glasses halfway down the bridge of his nose. Don't make it a habit, you three. Hydra. Clever, Dan thought. I like that. He smiled. Sorry, Abby said, flipping at her binder at lightning speed. It won't happen again. Professor Douglas nodded and turned to the whiteboard. After class, they walked together back to the quad. A tall, lantern-jawed kid ran up to them on the path, planting himself in Abby's way and putting a hand on her arm like he knew her. Uh-oh. Hey, Abby. Jordan. The guy smiled, showing a mega-want dentist-approved grin. Y'all want to grab a coffee or something? That is the first time I've said y'all. That's the second time. And I want to say about 12 years. Interesting. Anyway, of course he had a charming southern accent. I don't think I have one. I don't think that's in my repertoire either. I'm not good at impressions or accents. That would be my brother. Adam, the one over there, not the other one. Although Joseph's really good at impressions. Anyway. Why wouldn't he? I'm Dan. Dan stuck out his hand, forcing the guy to let go of Abby's arm. Ash, the boy said, gripping Dan's hand like a vice. Pleased to meet you. So, Ash cocked his head in the direction of Wilford. Wilford? I don't know. Sure, I'm down, Abby chirped. Guys? Sounds good to me, Jordan said. Dan just shrugged and tried to smile in a way that said, okay, but it wouldn't be the first choice. Quietly, hands in his pockets, he dropped back a few paces. Jordan joined him, giving him the sort of deliberate, laser-eyed look that made Dan feel extremely uncomfortable. He wasn't going to say anything. If Abby wanted to hang out with Ash, that was none of his business. But Jordan didn't let up. He goes to Abby's high school, he whispered conspiratorially as he twirled a pencil in his fingers. She introduced us in art. What? Art? What? Drawing class, there we go. I guess they run an art club together at their school. Oh, Dan replied. I guess he seems nice enough. But nothing. Dan kicked a stick out of the way, sending it spinning into the grass. He's nice, but maybe that's all there is to him. Anyway, who cares about nice? Most people are nice. He thought about high school. Nice kids were a dime a dozen there, and none of them really caught his interest. Not that he much cared. He was the top of his class, and in a year he'd be headed to college, far away from them all. Jordan raised an eyebrow. You don't think you're being a little harsh on the kid? You've known him all of 10 seconds, Dan. He's just one of those guys, you know? He gets along with everyone. I like having him around. I am not that guy. Dan kicked at the ground. I don't get that. How do you do that? Get along with everyone, I mean. Try being a little less jealous, for one, Jordan said. He meant it lightly, but Dan took it to heart. Was he being that obvious? But maybe he should just get over himself and accept that, of course, Jordan and Abby would have other friends. But for his part, Dan didn't feel like he needed anyone else. I can relate to that. Dan picked at a muffin while Abby and Jordan chatted with Ash. Nobody seemed to mind that he didn't say a word. He tried not to look all mopey, but he wasn't sure he succeeded. Afterward, Ash left to join a frisbee game, and Jordan said something about meeting up with people for a group project. Dan and Abby were quite suddenly alone. Abby looked at Dan with a smile on her face. Cheer up, she said. You look so serious. Uh-oh. He started, but then something came over him, and he knew he had to say this now, or he never would. Do you want to go out somewhere tonight? Just the two of us, I mean? Yes, she said, smiling, leaving Dan inwardly to celebrate the vast difference between yes and sure. Tell her it's a date, but you mean it like a date. It doesn't have to be a date or anything, he added sheepishly. It's a date. It's a date. You're asking her on a date. Oh, Abby replied, glancing down. No, right, of course. Or it could be a date. Okay, she laughed. What did you have in mind? What did you want to do? Get dinner? Oh, dinner. Yeah. I heard place down in town is nice. He was talking about it. Roosters. They do sandwiches and stuff. Was it so hard? Lies and slander. Oh, that's mortifying. Roosters it is, she said brightly. How's 7? 7 is perfect. Oh no. Great then. 7 o'clock sharp. I'll see you downstairs at 7. Abby shook her head and laughed. Geez, could I say 7 a few more times? Probably. After that, Abby said something vague about wanting to go to the sports center, and Dan said he needed to get in some study time, so they parted ways in the quad, smiling and waving like idiots. He watched her walk down the path until she was lost among the crowd of students hanging around outside. Sorry. Then he walked slowly back to the dorm. His sneakers crunched on pine cones as he ambled on and off the paths, and one of the nearby lawns he saw a group gathered around the grill. It looked like a barbecue that a couple of hall monitors were getting started early for dinner. He could smell the smoke as it drifted up into the air and disappeared in the light breeze. He could hear the popping of the fire. He was feeling just fine. Okay. And for some reason, there are more pictures. What do you make of that? Anyway, I forgot to feed the turtles. I'm going to go do that. And then I'm going to look for a horror movie to start watching, and I'll probably have to finish it tonight, and then I'm not going to sleep at all. Anyway, if you have some suggestions for a horror movie, be sure to let me know, and until next time, goodbye everybody. I love October so much. This is going to be a good Halloween